video lecture on generation in computers. Myself, Dr. Ramawat Ravi, Assistant Professor of Commerce, Pingili Government College for Women, Warangal, Telangana. So first, introduction. What do you mean by computer generation? Computer generation is a process of improvement. Is a process of improvement. Example, in the 1940s, 1947, at the time of independence, Indian culture, Indian food habits, Indian traditional way mechanism is different. And at the time of 2020, our way of lifestyle is completely different. It is it is a drastical changes is happened because changes we should adapt it. Changes in terms of physically, in terms of mentally, in terms of psychologically, in terms of languages, in style, totally we can call lifestyle. Our wearing dress style will completely change. In the olden days, the human being wearing their traditional dress mechanism is different. Now is different. But in case of computer, also there are process of improvement is there. When the computer started in the year 1936, the computer is a machine. Previous video discussed the meaning of computers. So it's a machine. It is a tool to perform our work in a smooth manner. So let me discuss the generation. Generation in generation in computer terminology is a changing in technology. A computer is being used. Initially, the computer terms was used distinction between very hard technologies. Nowadays, generation include both hardware and software. Generation not only in hardware, it is software also. What is hardware and what is software? Hardware is a physical components of the computers. I mean the parts of the computer like monitor, keyboard, mouse, and CPU, motherboard, etc., etc., etc. All the visible things, all the visible parts we can call hardware. So the generation to generation, hardware devices they are drastically changing. The first generation monitor is to fifth generation monitor, there are drastically changing in terms of size, in terms of quality, in terms of accuracy, in terms of mobility, in terms of design. Not once, in every all the aspects. So in physically, they have to change. That's called hardware components. And same thing, software. Software is the instruction to the computers. Is a setup, is a setup instruction. It is a procedure, is a mechanism to run the computer in a systematical manner, in the proper manner. So these together, when hardware is there is no use. So software and hardware, so linking together, that's the operating system. So different types of operating system is available. Linux is the one of the operating system. Windows is the one of the operating system. The different operating system is available. But at the time of 80s, DOS is one of the famous operating system, MS DOS. But it's drastically changing now. MS Windows is a operating system. In among the MS Windows also, Windows version 1, 2, 3, 4, and 10, now 16 and 12. These are the different version is there. What is the meaning of this version? Updation. First version to updating. Updating mean in the first version, future has updated, changing according to our requirements. So we have incorporating some of the deleting, some of adding. So anyhow, to meet the present requirement, to meet the present human being requirement, our the main intention is like that. In the olden days, our banking system, how they are functioning mean simply the traditional banking system is happening. Everything they wrote manual only, but now everything digitalized. All the payments goes through the digital only. You can paying through mobile phone also. These are the changes. These changes we can call generations. Basically, here computer has five generation is there. We can broadly classify five generation. First generation, second generation, third generation, and fourth and last one is the fifth generation. All the five generation of the computers and the advances in the technology that lead to development of many devices. All the five generations advance in case of technology. Technology today is new, tomorrow goes to old. Technology is continuously changing. The changes should adopt it. The changes should incorporate it. It's a process of development. It's a continuous development of many devices. Already we discussed devices, hardware. All the devices. So different devices will incorporating either existing devices we are modifying or new devices we are developing. So to convenient of human, to conveniently using of computers, which everybody can use today, and especially nowadays, either directly or indirectly, we are using computers. I mean, human being directly or indirectly, all the categories of people, students are using, teaching communities are using, and businessman can using, and farmer can using, employees can using, all the categories of people can use nowadays. So these are the very important tools in their day-to-day life. Our computer journey started in, already we discussed it, the computer innovated by in the year 1936, but journey will started officially in the year 1940s. 1940s to 2020, what will happen and what are the changes will incorporated? That's we are going to discuss. That is the computer generation. At the time of first generation computers with the vacuum tube technologies and goes to the now the artificial technology, the virtual technology is there. So robotic engineering is there. The system is used adapted in today's. Let we discuss the generation of computers to fifth generation along with pictures of different generation computers. Now we are going to discuss in the first generation computer. So first generation computer, let the computer generation start in the 1940s. So we are briefly talking about the 1944 to 1955. This period we call the first generation computers. Initially period, the starting period of the computers. So by seeing this is a picture of the first generation computers. This is a very large in size. The devices is very large to kept in a big room. The first generation computers used a vacuum tube technology. These computers very big and heavy. In terms of size, very big and heavy loaded also. Weight, because all the devices we are using in electronic devices, the metal, plastics, iron, wires, etc. Heavy loaded is that. They had large number of internal circuits. Internally circuit is a very large number of circuit is happened. Example, universal automatic computers, electronic numerical integrator, and computers. So by seeing this picture, we can observe like that. So as the screen is there, and those are the different devices is there. One man has standing beside the computer devices, and here the monitor is there, and key is there. The picture we can call the first generation picture. The picture we can call the picture which we are seeing on the screen, the first generation computers. So this devices, what different key and different devices is will showing. This is a very size in the large. Now coming to the futures of the first generation computer. So what are the features available in the first generation computer? Let me discuss one by one. First one is the technology used. In the first generation, so which technology we are using mean vacuum tube technology. So these are the fixtures we are seeing. These are the vacuums. So the one, two, three. This is the size, either small size, and compared to this one is a very big size and medium size. These are the different size there. This picture, what we are seeing, the images we call vacuum. These are the vacuum. So different vacuums we are using in first generation computers. So input devices. In the earlier first generation computers, only input devices is the punch card input devices we are using. The card system. And mostly in the printing press, the olden days printing press uh, development of the punch card mechanism is there. Punch card technology we are using in first generation computers. And same thing in output devices, only in case of first generation computers, printing printer is a only the output devices. Whatever the information entering through the punch card mechanism, so entering the data into the computers through punch card, but the same thing will processing in the computer and displaying by the way of the printer machine, the printing of the data. That is the output devices. That is the one of the major features. And next one, memory devices. Memory is a storage of space, storage facilities in the computer to store the information, either magnetic tape or magnetic drum. We are using magnetic tape is one of the device, and magnetic drum is another one of the device. These are the another one future in first generation computers. Speed, the process of computer functioning the activities in terms of we are measuring the millisecond. And cost of the first generation computers, when we have to purchase this type of computers, first generation computer, we have to bear a huge amount of cost. The cost is not affordable to common man. Even though the government can also not much bearing to purchase these type of computers. The initial stage, the cost is very high in case of the beginning first generation computers. And programming languages, the computers programming language, the machine language. The initially computer generation machine language meant zeros or ones with the binary score. Only this instruction will computer will understand. Remaining those languages, the human being talking languages cannot accepting it, cannot understanding it. This is the initial stage we can call. And another one feature is there, reliability. The reliability is very low in case of first generation computers. And accuracy also is very low. So these are the main features in the first generation computers. And okay, now disadvantages in first generation computers. What are the disadvantages? What are the limitations in the first generation computers? Let me discuss one by one. The computer were very large in size. Already previously we discussed it. The size is very, very, very large. When the size will large, we cannot move from one location to another location. It's not easy to move. It's a difficulty to move from location changing of the disadvantages. They consumed a large amount of energy. The power consumption is also very high in the first generation computers. They get heat very soon due to the thousand of vacuum tube. Already we discussed it in the previous vacuum tube technology we are using. Different vacuum we are installing. We are using different vacuum in the first generation computers. Those vacuum has generating very heat. Every vacuum has generating heat. So altogether, the heat is very high, and it is completely due to the vacuum. So is spreading the heat of the computers. They were not very reliable. It is not reliable. The air condition was required. The AC is mandatory to maintain this type of computers. The AC is mandatory. The constant maintenance was required. Maintenance is constant is required. They were not portable. So moving from one place to another place, it is a difficult to carry from locations. They were very costly. Already we discussed it. To buy this type of computer, we have to bear a huge amount of cost. They had very limited commercial use. It is a commercial using by for the business purpose. There is a very limited to scope for using this type of computers. They used machine language only. That is a one of the disadvantages in the first generation computer. Let me go for the second generation computer. Second generation starts from 1956 to 1965. The second generation computers were developed during the 1956 to 1965. The scientists at Bell Laboratories developed a transistor in the year 1947. These scientists included John Burden, William Sibbertin, and William Shockley. These are the scientists' name. The size of the computers were decreased by replacing vacuum tube with the transistors. In the first generation computer, we are using vacuum tube technology. So vacuum tube technology replaced it by the transistors. The transistor technology we are using replacing the vacuum tube. So the IBM company 1794 series, IBM company 1400 series, and Candid CDSC 1916 4 series. These are the screen which we are seeing on the screen. So this is the example of this is the picture we are seeing, the second generation computers. A man has operating the second generation computers beside the computers. Now let me discuss the what are the futures we are going to happen in the second generation computers. The futures, first one, technology used. These are the transistors. Transistor is the picture we are seeing, like one or two transistor is there. So by installing this transistor is a technology to using in the computers. Input devices, again, to entering the information into the computers, the way we are using punch cards, same in first generation also same, and in case of second generation also punch card system still we are using. Output devices mean whatever the information entering in the computer, after processing it, it's showing, it displaying the result through the printing machine only, the printing devices. And memory devices, in case of first generations, magnetic tape and a magnetic drum, same thing will using in the first generations. And speed, in the first generation computers, speed is a millisecond. Now it is a little bit changing millisecond to microsecond. So in terms of technology will changing in replacing uh, vacuum technology to transistors, and speed has increasing millisecond to microsecond. But in case of cost also same, cost is very high. This is not affordable to common people, even though commercial people also. And programming language is updated, assemble language is there. So I mean machine language will converting to the assemble language, the converter is there, compressor is there. And reliable, compared to first generation, the second generation is a reliable level, accuracy level is increasing, little bit is increasing. These are the futures available in the computers. Mostly a three futures are same, but somewhat changing in terms of technology we are using. This is a transistor, already we explained this picture, already we observe it. These are the transistor. Next, disadvantages happen in the second generation computers. Cooling system was required, mean air condition is mandatory. In first generation also air condition is compulsory, and second generation also air condition is compulsory. Constant maintenance was required, constantly maintenance is required. Maintenance expenditures is very high, and human requirement is continuously. A commercial product was difficult, only used special purpose. So all the purpose we cannot using in the second generation computer also. Only one purpose, a special purpose we are using, like that is the mathematical equations, calculating function only. Again, it is a costly and not versatile. Again, we are using punch card where we are usually input devices. These are the limitations happen in the second generation. Now, the second generation, coming to the third generation, the third generation computer starts from 1966 to 1975. The third generation computers were the integrated circuit. The integrated circuit we are using. Jack Kilby developed the concept of IC integrated circuit in the year 1958. It was an important invention in the computer field. It is a very important invention in the computer field. But in case of third generation computer, size has drastically reducing. This we are showing, this is a picture of these third generation computers. This is a screen displaying, so size has reduced. When comparing to first generation, second generation, third generation computer size has completely reduced. So a keyboard and screen, monitor is there, and some supporting CPU, all the devices, a small setup is there, a small setup. So these are the drastically changing in the computer size. Now, I integrated circuit was invented by Jack Kilby. This development made computer smaller in size. This IC technology helps to the computers. The size will end small, and whatever the informations reliable and efficient also. In this generation, remote processing, time sharing, multi-programming operating system were used. Remote processing, to processing the data with help of remote. Time sharing, multi-programming operating system. Multi-programming means at a time you can perform, or multi-programming operating system means so computer can install operating system different multi-purpose. We can use the multi-purpose operating system very used. And in third generations, high-level languages using in this computers were used during this generation. The futures of first third generation computer. Technology used integrated circuits, input devices. So input devices in the first generation, second generation, punch card is there. But it coming to the third generation, by saying this is the third generation computer, keyboard is innovated. So by using keyboard is one of the input devices to enter the information into the computer. By using keyboard, programmer can entering the information into the computers. That is the one of the major advantages in the computer features. Output devices. So now it is happening output devices, and the previous magnetic tape and magnetic drum is there. Now monitor is happen and printer is happen. And memory devices, hard disk, floppy disk also is. Now hard disk is there and floppy disk is there. Mobile devices is the development. And speed, the first generation, millisecond, second generation, microsecond, and coming to the third generation, nanosecond. Now microsecond, millisecond, microsecond, nanosecond. and cost is a compared to first, second generation, the previous generation, cost may be somewhat reducing. So even though it is not affordable, but compared to previous generation, cost is a affordable. That is the one of things. And programming languages. The first generation, machine language is the programming language. Second generation, assemble language is the programming language. But in third generation, so machine language converting, assemble language converting to high level language. I mean, human can understand the high level language. The computer also can understanding the high level language. Reliable, more reliable compared to previous generation. His accuracy is very high. Speed is increasing, accuracy is increasing. Then people will reliable. Oh, this is a good. This is the happen. These are the main features available in the third generation computer. Disadvantages, same. Air condition was required. Again, AC is mandatory. Highly sophisticated technology required for the manufacturing of ICT. Chips, we have chip mechanism to develop. This is a difficulty. These are the disadvantages. Coming to the fourth generation computers, 1976 to 1985, the fourth generation computer started, which is the invention of microprocessors. So integrated chips will converting into the microprocessors. The microprocessor contain thousands of IC integrated circuits. This is the example of this is a picture we are seeing, the example of the fourth generation computers. Same thing we are using in at present also. In the 2020 years also we are using same computers. The same picture mean the future somewhat maybe increasing, but a visible screen is visible devices is there. So coming to the futures of the fourth generation computer, technology used microprocessor in place of first generation vacuum tube technology and second generation transistors, third generation integrated circuits. The integrated circuit replacing microprocessors. Microprocessor is the combination of thousands of thousands of integrated circuits. Very large VLSI, very large systems is integrated. Input devices. So in previous, we are using input devices, keyboard. Now coming to the, in addition, keyboard is the input devices in the third generation. But in addition to keyboard, mouse also innovated in the fourth generation, and scanner also innovated. And output devices, touch screen printers. Memory devices, DVD will happen, CD will happen, flash memory. Speed, picosecond will develop. Millisecond, microsecond, nanosecond, picosecond. The cost is very low compared to previous generation. Programming language, the high level language. Reliable, more reliable comparing to the previous generation. And advantages, they are more powerful and reliable than previous. They were small in size, fast processing power with less consumption. The previous all three generation power consumption is very high and heat will generating, and they need AC is mandatory. But in case of fourth generation computer, AC is not mandatory. We not need AC to run the computers. If your AC is there, you can use comfortable. But AC using not mandatory in fourth generation computer. Fan or heating, discharging the no air condition is required. This computer very totally a general purpose. Mean, so in fourth generation computers, not only special purpose, the common people can also using this computer in their own purpose. And coming to the fifth generation computers. So at the present generation computers, So like by seeing this picture, we can imagine the fifth generation computers. That is the artificial intelligence is there. Robotic technology is there. The human being replacing through robotic technology. In a robo movie is there. It's like human being functioning same. A robo computer has a human being. Like whatever the human being doing functions, same thing will happen by the mean those are the generation, the first generation, the virtual computers. So this is a first generation, the fifth generation computers. There is a lot of changing will happen. Still is developing, still is developing, still is researching. There are many applications which are used in this generation, like voice recognitions, which is being used in today. The use of superconductor and the parallel processing helps to make the artificial intelligence a reality in the ground. The goal and target of this generation is develop devices that respond the natural languages. You can understand natural languages also. So the fifth generations, the virtual technology is there, e-classroom is there, and not one, all the devices you are developing. The peak moment is there. The peak moment, we know we are at the stage of peak moment in the development of computers. A small devices has developed. The virtual key also is developed. Mean this is a briefly about the computer generation, and it's the futures, and these are the advantages, and these are the disadvantages will happen in the computer generations. So anyhow, thank you, thanking you. So again I am going to showing the pictures of the first generation and the technology we are using in first generation vacuum tubes. Picture we are showing in second generation, and technology we are using transistors, and the third generation computer image you can see here, you can observe it, and same thing fourth generation, and coming to the microprocessors and fifth generation computer. Again, thank you very much.